The expansive starlit chamber of the Galactic Senate buzzed with activity as representatives of countless species gathered under the transparent dome showcasing a swirling nebula. Here, decisions affecting billions across the galaxy were debated and made, illuminated by the ethereal glow of distant stars. At the center of the chamber, Senator Vorlin stood imposingly, his tall figure clad in the ceremonial robes of the Tuvau. His voice, authoritative yet calm, resonated across the crowded room as he addressed the assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed representatives of the Galactic Union, Vorlin began, sweeping his gaze over the crowd. We stand on the precipice of a new era. The frontier zone, rich in resources yet claimed by no one, has become a cradle of contention, threatening the peace we have so diligently upheld. His proposal for a limitation of arms act, specifically targeting newer members of the Union, was cloaked in diplomatic language but carried a deeper intent: to curb the rising influence of species like humans, whose rapid expansion and ingenuity had unsettled the established galactic order. Seated in a less conspicuous part of the gallery, Captain Elaine Mercer of the U.S. Invictus listened with growing concern. Her mission, fraught with peril and shrouded in secrecy, was critical to ensuring humanity's access to the frontier zone. Vorlin's act, if passed, would significantly hinder those efforts. Beside her, Lieutenant Commander Rajiv Singh, her second-in-command, silently recorded every detail of the proceedings, his mind already racing through the potential repercussions of the proposed act. Following the session's conclusion, Mercer and Singh discreetly left the chamber. Their steps were quick and purposeful as they made their way back to the U.S. Invictus, a state-of-the-art warship concealed among commercial vessels in orbit around the Senate's planet. Once aboard, the atmosphere was charged with tension. Mercer quickly gathered her senior officers in the dimly lit briefing room, where screens displaying tactical data and star maps lined the walls. The Senate is nearing a vote on an act that could severely restrict our operations in the frontier zone, she briefed, her voice infused with a quiet intensity. Our mission is critical. We must ensure this vote does not succeed. Intelligence indicates that Senator Vorlin might be manipulating the vote, possibly through bribery or coercion, added Singh, showcasing intercepted communications that suggested a deep web of corruption and intrigue. The crew listened intently, the gravity of their task dawning on them. Mercer's resolve hardened as she continued. We need to expose Vorlin's maneuvers before the Senate casts their votes. This isn't just about protecting our access to the frontier zone. It's about preserving a balance of power that doesn't leave humanity, or any emerging race, disadvantaged. As they began preparations for their covert operation, Mercer looked out from the command deck's viewport at the bustling spaceport traffic. The diversity of ships and the vibrant life they represented underscored the importance of their mission. Turning back to her crew, determination etched on her features, she declared, "Let's get to work. We have a senator to expose and a galaxy to reassure. If we play this right, we could tip the scales in our favor." The U.S. Invictus, a marvel of human engineering, glided through the expanse of space toward the frontier zone, its sleek hull reflecting the scattered starlight. Captain Elaine Mercer and her crew were embarking on a mission fraught with danger and diplomatic implications, seeking to secure humanity's place among the stars and fend off the limitations proposed by Senator Vorlin. Aboard the ship, the atmosphere was one of focused determination. Lieutenant Commander Rajiv Singh coordinated with the navigation team, plotting a course that would take them close to key strategic points in the disputed zone. Our approach needs to be stealthy but assertive. We'll show the Galactic Union that we're not just participants in this game. We're contenders, he stated, his eyes fixed on the holographic map displaying their route. Captain Mercer stood beside him, nodding in agreement. Keep the cloaking systems on standby. I want to avoid any confrontations until we reach the sector. Once we're there, we'll run passive scans, gather as much intel as we can without tipping anyone off. The Invictus entered the frontier zone undetected, thanks to its advanced cloaking technology. The region was a volatile mix of unclaimed territories rich in resources, now overshadowed by the looming threat of restrictions from the Galactic Senate. Mercer's plan was to demonstrate that human presence in the zone was not only legitimate but also vital for maintaining balance. As they navigated through the zone, the crew monitored communications and movements of other alien ships. The tension increased when an unidentified scout ship appeared on their sensors, making a course that seemed to intercept their own. Mercer ordered the ship to remain cloaked and hold position, observing the alien vessel. "It's a Zoraxian scout. Looks like they're patrolling the area," Singh observed, analyzing the data streaming in from the sensors. "They might be mapping resource points or looking for intruders." Mercer watched the scout with a strategic eye. "Let's use this opportunity. Follow their trail at a safe distance. We might uncover some valuable sites or at least understand their patterns." For hours, the Invictus shadowed the Zoraxian ship from a safe distance, gathering critical data about their operations in the zone. However, the mission took an unexpected turn when the Zoraxian ship suddenly stopped and deployed a series of probes into a nearby asteroid field. "They're onto something. Raj, take a team to the surface of one of those asteroids. Let's find out what they're so interested in," Mercer commanded, sensing an opportunity. Singh led a small team on a shuttle to the asteroid, equipped with scanning gear and light weapons for protection. They landed discreetly and began their investigation, finding that the Zoraxians had detected a rare mineral known for its energy-producing capabilities. As the team collected samples and prepared to return, their presence was detected by the Zoraxian scout. A tense standoff ensued, with the Invictus revealing itself and intervening to extract Singh and his team. With the mineral samples secured and their cover blown, Mercer decided it was time to make their presence known more broadly. "Communicate to all vessels in this zone that the U.S. Invictus claims this territory under Earth jurisdiction for exploration and mutual benefit," she instructed, her voice resolute. The declaration was bold, a direct challenge to the status quo enforced by the Galactic Senate, and particularly Senator Vorlin. It marked a significant shift in tactics, from stealth and observation to open assertion of human rights and capabilities. As the Invictus prepared for possible repercussions from their actions, Mercer and Singh reviewed the data collected during their mission. They now had not only valuable resources in their hands, but also a newfound leverage to use in the political arena. Aboard the U.S. Invictus, deep within the frontier zone, the atmosphere was charged with a palpable tension. The ship, now fully exposed and asserting Earth's territorial claims, became a beacon of human determination and technological prowess. Captain Elaine Mercer, standing before the main view screen of the command deck, watched as the strategic implications of their bold proclamation began to unfold across the sector. Lieutenant Commander Rajiv Singh approached with an update, his expression serious. "Captain, our declaration has stirred quite a reaction. We've intercepted a surge in communications among the Zoraxian ships, and it appears they're not the only ones concerned. Several other species are starting to take notice." Mercer nodded thoughtfully. "Any direct threats?" "Not yet, but the situation is fluid. I'd recommend we stay alert for any shifts in the local fleet movements," Rajiv advised, his eyes locked on the data streaming through his handheld device. In the heart of the Invictus, in a room humming with the soft whir of computer systems, the intelligence team worked tirelessly to decrypt and analyze the intercepted communications. Among them, a young signals officer, Ensign Emily Torres, made a breakthrough. "Commander, you'll want to see this," she called out, motioning Singh over. On her screen, a series of encrypted messages from Ambassador Kareth, a key political figure within the Zoraxian hierarchy, appeared. The messages hinted at a gathering coalition against the human presence, driven by fear and a strategic desire to control the resource-rich zone without Earth's interference. "Get this information to Captain Mercer immediately," Singh directed, his voice urgent. He understood the gravity of the intelligence. They were now at the center of a potential multi-species alliance aimed at curtailing human expansion. Back on the command deck, Mercer reviewed the decrypted messages, her mind racing through potential scenarios. "We need to counter this," she declared, her decision clear. "Let's use this intelligence to our advantage. Raj, prepare a diplomatic communique to the Galactic Senate, expose the brewing coalition, and affirm our commitment to peace and mutual prosperity." As Rajiv prepared the message, Mercer summoned her senior diplomats and strategists to plan their next move. They needed to outmaneuver the emerging alliance both politically and strategically. "If we play this right, we can turn their covert aggression into a galactic debate about fairness and rights in the frontier zone," Mercer strategized. The diplomatic message, once sent, created ripples across the Galactic Senate, with various member species beginning to debate the implications of the Zoraxian-led coalition. Some called for restraint and dialogue, while others sided with the Zoraxians, viewing the human expansion as a threat to the established order. Meanwhile, the Invictus continued to monitor the frontier zone, its sensors and patrols on high alert. The crew's morale was bolstered by their captain's leadership, but the threat of military engagement loomed large. As the tension escalated, a surprise communication arrived from an unexpected source. A moderate faction within the Zoraxian government, led by a prominent senator who viewed the escalating conflict as detrimental to regional stability. "Captain Mercer, we request a meeting. There are those among us who seek a peaceful resolution," the message read. Mercer considered the offer carefully. It was a risk, but it presented an opportunity to fracture the opposition and perhaps secure allies within the Zoraxian ranks. "Set a course for the rendezvous point," Mercer instructed her navigator, her voice steady. "Let's see if we can unravel this coalition from within." The U.S. Invictus glided silently through the dark expanse, leaving the volatile frontier zone behind as it approached the neutral star system of Paraxen. The stars there twinkled indifferently against the backdrop of political machinations and impending conflicts. Paraxen, a system known for its sprawling asteroid belts and a popular haven for diplomatic parleys, was the chosen ground for a clandestine meeting that could potentially sway the tide of current galactic tensions. On board, Captain Elaine Mercer prepared meticulously for the rendezvous. Her quarters, usually a place of solitude and reflection, turned into a strategy hub in the hours leading up to the meeting. Maps, digital documents, and communication logs littered her desk as she pieced together the profiles of the Zoraxian delegates who sought a peaceful resolution. Lieutenant Commander Rajiv Singh entered with the latest intelligence report. "We've got confirmation, Captain. The Zoraxian delegates have just entered the system. They're accompanied by a minimal security detail, which aligns with their stated peaceful intentions." Minimal security or minimal visibility, Mercer mused aloud, aware of the layered deceptions that often played out in such negotiations. "Either way, we'll proceed as planned. Have our security teams on high alert and keep our communications open and secure. I don't want any surprises." As the Invictus approached the designated coordinates, the asteroid belt of Paraxen provided a natural labyrinth, its massive, slowly rotating rocks creating a dynamic maze. This setting was not just a meeting point, but a tactical choice, providing cover and escape routes, should the need arise. The Zoraxian ship, a sleek vessel that reflected the technological elegance of its people, was already waiting, nestled between two large asteroids. Its hull shimmered with a passive glow, the standard of truce visible on its side. Mercer, accompanied by Rajiv and a small hand-picked team, boarded a shuttle to meet with the Zoraxians. The shuttle maneuvered carefully through the asteroid field, its pilot deftly navigating the complex paths carved by celestial movements. Upon docking with the Zoraxian ship, Mercer and her team were greeted by Senator Tyruth, a well-respected figure known for his moderate views within the Zoraxian political sphere. His demeanor was calm, but his eyes betrayed a keen intelligence and cautious nature. "Captain Mercer, welcome," Tyroth greeted, extending a hand in a gesture of peace. "I am grateful you accepted our invitation to talk. I believe there is much we can achieve together." "Thank you, Senator Tyroth," Mercer replied, shaking his hand. I share your hope for a fruitful dialogue. The meeting took place in a conference room aboard the Zoraxian vessel, where holographic displays of the galaxy served as a backdrop. Discussions were intense, with Tyroth outlining the concerns of his faction, mainly the destabilizing impact of escalating military deployments in the frontier zone. Mercer listened intently, then laid out her vision. A collaborative approach to managing the zone, ensuring it remained open to all under a mutually agreed framework that would limit military buildups, but allow for economic and scientific cooperation. As the talks progressed, it became clear that there were elements within the Zoraxian government who feared the rise of Senator Vorlin's militaristic approach as much as the humans did. An alliance, built on shared concerns and mutual benefits, began to take shape. However, just as both parties were outlining steps for a formal agreement, an urgent alert came through to Mercer's communicator. Rajiv's voice was tense. "Captain, we've detected an unauthorized ship entering the system. It's on an intercept course." The fragile peace of the meeting shattered as both parties realized the implications. The meeting had been compromised, likely by forces loyal to Vorlin who stood to lose from any peace agreement. "Senator, it seems we have more immediate issues to resolve," Mercer stated, standing up. "Let's secure our teams and handle this threat together." As the alarm klaxons wailed throughout the U.S. Invictus, Captain Elaine Mercer and her team rushed back to their ship, the tension palpable in the air. The unauthorized ship's sudden approach threatened to disrupt the fragile beginnings of a new alliance between the humans and the moderate Zoraxian faction led by Senator Tyroth. Back on the bridge of the Invictus, the atmosphere was charged with urgency. Lieutenant Commander Rajiv Singh was coordinating with the tactical team, his eyes fixed on the large screen displaying the incoming ship's trajectory. "It's a Zoraxian military vessel, Captain, but it doesn't match any of the known signatures for Senator Vorlin's loyalists," Rajiv reported, his voice steady despite the unfolding crisis. "This could be a rogue element, or worse, an unaccounted-for faction within the Zoraxian military." Captain Mercer absorbed the information, her strategic mind calculating the possible implications. "Open a communication channel to Senator Tyroth's ship. We need to present a united front if we're to defuse this situation," she ordered, her gaze never leaving the advancing blip on the radar. The communication link was established, and Tyroth's image flickered onto the screen, his expression grave. "Captain Mercer, it seems we have a common adversary," he stated, his voice betraying a hint of frustration. "This ship is commanded by General Kraz, a hardliner who has openly opposed my faction's call for diplomacy." "Understood, Senator. We'll handle this together," Mercer replied, her resolve firm. "Rajiv, set Condition 1 throughout the ship, and prepare to intercept." The U.S. Invictus maneuvered into a defensive position, flanked by Tyroth's vessel, as the rogue Zoraxian ship approached. Its intentions unclear, the ship neither hailed them nor opened fire, an ominous silence hanging over the cold expanse of space. Mercer took the initiative, broadcasting an open message. "This is Captain Elaine Mercer of the U.S. Invictus, representing the United Earth, and allied with Senator Tyroth of the Zoraxian delegation. We urge you to stand down and discuss your grievances. We are not your enemy." There was a tense pause before the response came through, crackling with static. "This is General Kraz. Your meddling in Zoraxian affairs will not be tolerated. Withdraw immediately, or we will open fire." Mercer glanced at Tyroth, who nodded slightly, a silent agreement passing between them. "General, we wish no conflict with you or any other Zoraxian forces," Mercer responded, her voice calm but authoritative. "We stand for peace and cooperation, as does Senator Tyroth. Join us in dialogue rather than battle." As the standoff continued, Rajiv quietly worked with his team, analyzing the rogue ship's armaments and shield frequencies. "Captain, if this goes south, I have a plan. We can disable their shields with a targeted EMP burst, but it'll take precise timing with the Senator's forces." Mercer weighed her options as the rogue ship's weapon systems began to charge, a clear sign that the situation could escalate to violence at any moment. Prepare the EMP, Regiv. On my mark. Just as tensions reached their peak, and Mercer was about to give the order, a second communication came through from General Kraz. The tone was different this time, less assured. Captain Mercer, your reputation precedes you. We will stand down for now, but this is not over. The rogue ship powered down its weapons and began to withdraw, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and heightened alertness behind. Mercer sighed, a mix of relief and frustration evident in her posture. Keep a watch on them, Regiv. This encounter may have ended peacefully, but it's clear we have more work to do to secure lasting peace. After the tense encounter with General Kraz's ship, the U.S. Invictus and Senator Tyroth's vessel retreated to a safer distance to assess their situation and plan their next steps. The temporary retreat provided an essential pause, allowing both human and Zoraxian crews to reflect on the precariousness of their position within the broader political landscape. In the Invictus's conference room, Captain Elaine Mercer convened an urgent strategy session with her senior officers and Senator Tyroth, who had requested to join via a secure holographic link. The room, usually filled with maps and tactical displays, now served as a ground for delicate diplomatic discussions. Senator Tyroth, your presence here today speaks volumes about the shifting allegiances within the Zoraxian hierarchy, Mercer began, acknowledging the senator's risky stance against more militant factions. General Kraz's actions confirm that there are elements within your government who fear what peace might bring. How do you suggest we address this divide? Tyroth's holographic image flickered slightly as he adjusted his position, his expression thoughtful. Captain Mercer, the encounter with General Kraz indeed underscores a deeper divide. My proposal is twofold. First, we need to bring this schism into the open within the Senate, exposing the militaristic agenda as a threat to all. Second, we must solidify our alliance here, showing a united front that can influence other members to join our cause. Lieutenant Commander Rajiv Singh, who had been monitoring communications and intelligence reports, chimed in. We've gathered significant intel that could undermine the hardliners' position. If we present this effectively, it could sway the Senate's neutral factions towards supporting a diplomatic resolution. Mercer nodded, turning her attention back to Tyroth. We need to coordinate our presentation to the Senate. Detailed reports, eyewitness accounts from today's standoff, and historical data showing the cost of continued division must be compellingly woven together. Agreed, Tyroth replied. I will begin rallying support from within. My contacts in the Senate are varied, and many are tired of endless conflict. With your evidence and our joint advocacy, we can perhaps turn the tide. The plan set, Mercer and her team spent the following days preparing a comprehensive dossier. Detailed analyses of the recent encounters, intercepted communications, and strategic assessments were compiled. Meanwhile, Tyroth worked his channels within the Senate, discreetly building anticipation for a pivotal presentation that promised to unveil truths long obscured by political maneuvering. Days later, aboard the Galactic Senate's Grand Assembly ship, a vast auditorium filled with representatives from across the galaxy served as the stage for what would be a historic turning point. The chamber buzzed with anticipatory murmurs as Mercer and Tyroth, standing side by side, presented their case. The presentation was meticulous and impactful. Mercer led with a vivid recounting of the Invictus's encounters, supplemented by visual data that made the threats tangible to all present. Tyroth followed, articulating the political implications, weaving in his first-hand experiences of the internal divisions, tearing at the fabric of Zoraxian society. As the session progressed, the initial skepticism from some factions gradually gave way to nodding heads and whispered acknowledgments. The evidence was irrefutable, the argument for unity compelling. By the time the presentation concluded, the momentum in the room had shifted palpably. In the wake of the presentation, a heated debate ensued among the Senate's delegates. Proposals and counterproposals were made, alliances tested and reformed. Ultimately, the session culminated in a vote, a decisive majority supporting a new directive to pursue peace and restructure military oversight within the Union. As the Galactic Senate's Grand Chamber slowly emptied, the echoes of a landmark decision still resonated through the air. Captain Elaine Mercer stood by the towering windows that looked out onto the sprawling cosmos, a silent witness to the pivotal changes unfolding. Beside her, Senator Tyroth shared the view, both of them contemplating the new era that was dawning. "This is a beginning, not an end," Tyroth remarked thoughtfully, breaking the silence. "The Senate's decision today will set a course, but the journey, the real work of building peace, starts now." Mercer nodded in agreement, her gaze fixed on the distant stars. "And it's a journey we must undertake together, as allies, not adversaries. What we've achieved here has to be more than a momentary alliance." Back aboard the U.S. Invictus, the mood was buoyant but tempered with a sense of the immense responsibilities that lay ahead. The crew gathered in the main assembly hall, where Mercer addressed them, her voice echoing slightly in the vast space. "Today, we've helped reshape the galaxy's political landscape," she began, her eyes moving across the faces of her crew, each member brimming with pride yet aware of the gravity of their achievements. "Your courage, your dedication, and your unwavering commitment have not just averted a crisis. They've paved the way for a lasting peace." As applause filled the room, Mercer felt a profound sense of accomplishment, but also the weight of future challenges. The treaty was just the framework. Its successful implementation would depend on the continued vigilance and cooperation of all parties involved. In the days that followed, the U.S. Invictus remained in the sector, now serving as a symbol of peace and a testament to human ingenuity and resolve. Mercer and her team were involved in various diplomatic missions, helping to stabilize regions affected by the previous uncertainties and conflicts. One such mission took them to a remote colony on the edge of the frontier zone, where human and Zoraxian settlers were attempting to establish a joint community. Here, the ideals of the new treaty were put to a practical test, as disparate cultures worked side by side to build something new. Mercer walked through the burgeoning settlement, observing the cooperative efforts. Humans and Zoraxians, once poised on the brink of conflict, now worked together, constructing habitats, sharing technologies, and blending their cultures. It was a microcosm of what the galaxy could become. At a small ceremony marking the official founding of the colony, Mercer was asked to speak. She stood before the gathering, the setting sun casting long shadows over the new buildings. "Today, we lay down not just physical foundations, but also the bedrock of a new way of living together," she addressed the crowd, her voice strong and clear. "Let this colony be a beacon, a proof that peace isn't just signed in treaties, but lived and breathed by people choosing to make a difference." As the ceremony concluded, with the colonists cheering, Mercer felt a surge of hope. The challenges ahead were daunting, but the rewards, a galaxy at peace, thriving on cooperation and mutual respect, were immeasurable.